Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Here begins the reading of the Devi Mahatmyam, which are the 700 slokas on Shri Durga. I resort to Mahakali, who has 10 faces, 10 legs, and holds in her hands the sword, disc, mace, arrows, bow, club, spear, missile, human head, and conch, who is three-eyed, adorned with ornament on all her limbs, and luminous like a blue jewel, and whom Brahma extolled in order to destroy Madhu and Ketaba when Vishnu was in mystic sleep. Markandeya said to his disciple Krasustuki Baguri, Sarvani, son of Surya, is called the 8th Manu. Listen while I describe in detail about his birth, how Sarvani, illustrious son of Surya, became the lord of the 8th Manvantara by the grace of Mahamaya. In former times there was a king named Surata, born of the Chaitra dynasty, ruling over the whole world in the period of Swarushcha. He protected his subjects duly like his own children. At that time, the kings who were the destroyers of the Kulas became his enemies. He, the wielder of powerful weapons, fought a battle with the destroyers of Kulas, but was defeated by them, though they were a small force. Then he returned to his own city and ruled over his own country. Then that illustrious king was attacked by those powerful enemies. Even in his own city, the king, now bereft of strength, was robbed of his treasury and army by his own powerful, vicious, and evil-disposed ministers. Thereafter, deprived of his sovereignty, the king left alone on horseback for a dense forest under the pretext of hunting. He saw there the hermitage of Medas, the supreme among the twice-born, inhabited by wild animals which were peaceful and graced by the disciples of the sage. Entertained by the sage, Surata spent some time moving about in the hermitage of the great sage. There then, overcome with attachment, he fell into the thought, I do not know whether the capital, which was well guarded by my ancestors and recently deserted by me, is being guarded righteously, or not, by my servants of evil conduct. I do not know what enjoyments my chief elephant, heroic and always elated, and now fallen into the hands of my foes, will get. Those who were my constant followers and received favor, riches, and food from me now certainly pay homage to other kings. The treasure which I gathered with great care will be squandered by those constant spendthrifts who are addicted to improper expenditures. The king was continually thinking of these and other things. Near the hermitage of the Brahma, he saw a merchant and asked him, Who are you? What is the reason for your coming here? Wherefore do you appear as if afflicted with grief and depressed in mind? Hearing the speech of the king, uttered in a friendly spirit, the merchant bowed respectfully and replied to the king. The merchant said, I am a merchant named Samadhi, born in a wealthy family. I have been cast out by my sons and wife, who were wicked through greed of wealth. My wife and sons have misappropriated my riches and made me devoid of wealth. Cast out by my trusted kinsman, I have come to the forest grief-stricken. Dwelling here, I do not know anything as regards good or bad of my sons, kinsman, and wife. At present, is welfare or ill luck theirs at home? How are they? Are my sons living good or evil lives? The king said, Why is your mind affectionately attached to those covetous folk, your sons, wife, and others, who have deprived you of your wealth? The merchant said, This very thought has occurred to me, just as you have uttered it. What can I do? My mind does not become hard. It bears deep affection to those very persons who have driven me out in their greed for wealth, abandoning love for a father and attachment to one's master and kinsman. I do not comprehend, although I know it, O noble-hearted king, how it is that the mind is prone to love even towards worthless kinsmen. On account of them I have heavy sighs and feel dejected. What can I do, since my mind does not become hard towards those unloving ones? Markandeya said, Then, O Brahmana, the merchant Samadhi and the noble king together approached the sage Midas, and after observing the etiquette worthy of him and as was proper, they sat down and conversed with him on some topics. The king said, Sir, I wish to ask you one thing. Be pleased to reply to it. Without the control of my intellect, my mind is afflicted with sorrow. Though I have lost the kingdom like an ignorant man, though I know it, I have an attachment to all the paraphernalia of my kingdom. How is this, O best of sages? And this merchant has been disowned by his children, wife, and servants, and forsaken by his own people. Still he is inordinately affectionate towards them. Thus both he and I, drawn by attachment towards objects whose defects we do know, are exceedingly unhappy. How this happens then, sir, that though we are aware of it, this delusion comes. This delusion besets me as well as him, blinded as we are in respect of discrimination. The Rishi said, Sir, every being has the knowledge of objects perceivable by the senses. An object of sense reaches it in various ways. Some beings are blind by day and others are blind by night. Some beings have equal sight both by day and night. Human beings are certainly endowed with knowledge, but there are not only beings to be so endowed. For cattle, birds, animals, and other creatures also cognize objects of senses. The knowledge that men have, birds and beasts too have, and what they have men also possess, and the rest, like eating and sleeping, is common to both of them. Look at these birds, which, though they possess knowledge and are themselves distressed by hunger, are yet, because of their delusion, engaged in dropping grains into the beaks of their young ones. Human beings are, O tiger among men, attached to their children because of greed for return help. Do you not see this? Even so men are hurled into the whirlpool of attachment, the pit of delusion, through the power of Mahamaya, the great illusion, who makes the existence of the world possible. Marvel not at this. This Mahamaya is Yoga Nidra, of Vishnu, the Lord of the world. It is by her the world is deluded. Verily she, the Bhagavati Mahamaya, forcibly drawing the minds of even the wise, throws them into delusion. She creates this entire universe, both moving and unmoving. It is she who, when propitious, becomes a boon giver to human beings for their final liberation. She is the supreme knowledge, the cause of final liberation and eternal. She is the cause of the bondage of transmigration and the sovereign over all lords. The king said, Venerable sir, who is that Devi whom you call Mahamaya? How did she come into being, and what is her sphere of action? O Brahmana, what constitutes her nature? What is her form? Wherefrom did she originate? All that I wish to hear from you, O you supreme among the knowers of Brahman. The Rishi said, She is eternal, embodied as the universe. By her all this is pervaded. Nevertheless, she incarnates in manifold ways. Hear it from me. When she manifests herself in order to accomplish the purposes of the Devas, she is said to be born in the world, though she is eternal. At the end of a kalpa, when the universe was one ocean with the waters of the deluge, and the double Lord Vishnu stretched out on Shesha and took to mystic slumber, two terrible asuras, the well-known Maidu and Ketaba, sprung into being from the dirt of Vishnu's ears, sought to slay Brahma. Brahma, the father of beings, was sitting in the lotus that came out of Vishnu's navel. Seeing these two fierce asuras and Janardana asleep, and with a view to awakening Hari, Brahma, with concentrated minds extolled Yoga Nidra, dwelling in Hari's eyes. The resplendent Lord Brahma extolled incomparable goddess of Vishnu, Yoga Nidra, the queen of cosmos, the supporter of the worlds, the cause of the sustenance and the dissolution alike of the universe. Brahma said, You are Swaha and Swada. You are verily the Vasatkara, the embodiment of Swara. You are the nectar, O eternal and imperishable one. You are the embodiment of the threefold matra. You are half a matra, though eternal. You are verily that which cannot be uttered specifically. You are Savitri and the supreme mother of the Devas. By you this universe is born. By you this world is created. By you it is protected, O Devi. And you always consume it at the end. O you who are always of the form of the whole world, at the time of creation you are of the form of the creative force. At the time of sustenance you are of the form of protective power. And at the time of the dissolution of the world you are of the form of the destructive power. You are the supreme knowledge as well as the great nescience, the great intellect and contemplation, as also the great delusion, the great Devi, as also the great Asuri. You are the primordial cause of everything, bringing into force the three qualities. You are the dark night of periodic dissolution. You are the great night of final dissolution, and the terrible night of delusion. You are the goddess of good fortune, the ruler, modesty, intelligence, characterized by knowledge, bashfulness, nourishment, contentment, tranquility, and forbearance. Armed with sword, spear, club, discus, conch, bow, arrow, slings, and iron mace, you are terrible, and at the same time you are pleasing. Yea, more pleased than all the pleasing things and exceedingly beautiful. You are indeed the supreme Ishwari, beyond the high and low. And whatever or wherever a thing exists, conscious, real or non-conscious, unreal, whatever power all that possesses yourself, O you who are the soul of everything, how can I extol you more than this? By you even he who creates, sustains, and devours the world is put to sleep. Who is here capable of extolling you? Who is capable of praising you? Who have made all of this? Vishnu, myself, and Shiva take our embodied forms. O Devi, being lauded thus, bewitch these two unassailable asuras, Madhu and Ketava, with your superior powers. Let Vishnu, the master of the world, be quickly awakened from sleep and rouse up his nature to slay these two great asuras. The rishi said, there the Devi of delusion, extolled thus by Brahma, the creator, in order to awaken Vishnu for the destruction of Madhu and Ketava, drew herself out from his eyes, mouth, nostrils, arms, heart, and breast, and appeared in the sight of Brahma of inscrutable birth. Janardana, lord of the universe, quitted by her, rose up from his couch on the universal ocean and saw these two evil asuras, Madhu and Ketava, of exceeding heroism and power, with eyes red in anger, endeavouring to devour Brahma. Thereupon the all-pervading Bhagavan Vishnu got up and fought with the asuras for 5,000 years, using his own arms as weapons, and they, frenzied with their exceeding power and deluded by Mahamaya, exclaimed to Vishnu, ask a boon from us. Bhagavan Vishnu said, if you are satisfied with me, you must both be slain by me now. What need is there of any other boon here? My choice is this much, indeed. The rishi said, those two asuras, thus bewitched by Mahamaya, gazing then at the entire world turned into water, told Bhagavan, the lotus-eyed one, slay us at the spot where the earth is not flooded with water. The rishi said, saying, be it so, Bhagavan Vishnu, the great wielder of conch, discus, and mace, took them on his loins, and there severed their heads with his discus. Thus she, Mahamaya, herself appeared when praised by Brahma. Now listen, again, the glory of this Devi, I tell you. Here ends the first chapter, called The Slaying of Madhu and Ketava, of Devi Mahatmyam in Markandeya Purana during the period of Sarvani, the Manu. Meditation of Mahalakshmi. I resort to Mahalakshmi, the destroyer of Mahishasura, who is seated on the lotus, is of the complexion of coral, and who holds in her 18 hands rosary, axe, mace, arrow, thunderbolt, lotus, bow, pitcher, rod, shakti, sword, shield, conch, bell, wine cup, trident, noose, and the discus Sudarshana. The rishi said, of yore, when Mahishasura was the lord of Asuras and Indra the lord of Devas, there was a war between the Devas and Asuras for a full 100 years. In that the army of the Devas were vanquished by the valorous Asuras. After conquering all the Devas, Mahishasura became the lord of heaven. Then the vanquished Devas, headed by Brahma, the lord of beings, went to the place where Shiva and Vishnu were. The Devas described to them in detail, as it had happened, the story of their defeat wrought by Mahishasura. He, Mahishasura himself, has assumed the jurisdictions of Surya, Indra, Agni, Vayu, Chandra, Yama, and Varuna, and other Devas. Through an order from heaven by that evil-natured Mahisha, the hosts of Devas wander on the earth like mortals. All that has been done by the enemy of the Devas has been related to you both, and we have sought shelter under you both. May both of you be pleased to think out the means of his destruction. Having thus heard the words of the Devas, Vishnu was angry, and also Shiva, and their faces became fierce with frowns. Then issued forth a great light from the face of Vishnu, who was full of intense anger, and from that of Brahma and Shiva too. From the bodies of Indra and other Devas also sprang forth a very great light, and all this light united together. The Devas saw there a concentration of light like a mountain blazing excessively, pervading all the quarters with its flames. Then that unique light, produced from the bodies of all the Devas, pervading the three worlds with its lustre, combined into one and became a female form. By that which was Shiva's light, her face came into being. By Yama's light, her hair. By Vishnu's light, her arms. And by Chandra's light, her two breasts. By Indra's light, her waist. By Varuna's light, her shanks and thighs. And by Earth's light, her hips. By Brahma's light, her feet came into being. By Surya's light, her toes. By Vasu's light, her fingers. By Kubera's light, her nose. By Prajapati's light, her teeth came into being, and similarly, by Agni's light, her 3 eyes were formed. The light of the 2 Sanjas became her eyebrows, the light of Vayu, her ears. The manifestation of the lights of other Devas too contributed to the being of the auspicious Devi. Then looking at her who had come into being from the assembled lights of all the Devas, the immortals who were oppressed by Mahishasura experienced joy. The bearer of Pinaka, Shiva, drawing forth a trident from his own trident, presented it to her. And Vishnu, bringing forth a discus out of his own discus, gave her. Varuna gave her a conch, Agni a spear, and Maruta gave her a bow as well as 2 quivers full of arrows. Indra, lord of Devas, bringing forth thunderbolt out of his own thunderbolt, and a bell from that of his elephant Airavata gave her. Yama gave a staff from his own staff of death, and Varuna, the lord of waters, a noose, and Brahma, the lord of beings, gave a string of bees and a water pot. Surya bestowed his own rays on all the pores of her skin, and Kala, time, gave a spotless sword and shield. The milk ocean gave a pure necklace, a pair of undecaying garments, a divine crest jewel, a pair of earrings, bracelets, a brilliant half-moon ornament, armlets on all arms, a pair of shining anklets, a unique necklace, and excellent rings on all the fingers. Vishwakaraman gave a very brilliant axe, weapons of various forms, and also an impenetrable armor. The ocean gave her a garland of unfading lotuses for her head and another for her breast. Besides a very beautiful lotus in her hand, the mountain Himavat gave her a lion to ride on and various jewels. The Lord of Wealth Kubera gave her a drinking cup, ever full of wine. Shesha, the Lord of all serpents who supports this earth, gave her a serpent necklace bedecked with best jewels. Honored likewise by other devas also with ornaments and weapons, she, the Devi, gave out a loud roar with a defying laugh again and again. By her unending, exceedingly great, terrible roar, the entire sky was filled, and there was a great reverberation. All worlds shook, the seas trembled. The earth quaked, and all the mountains rocked. Victory to you, exclaimed the Devas in joy, to her, the Lion Rider. The sages who bowed their bodies in devotion extolled her. Seeing the three worlds agitated, the fools of Devas mobilized all their armies and rose up together with uplifted weapons. Mahishasura, exclaiming in wrath, "Ha! What is this?" rushed towards that roar, surrounded by innumerable asuras. Then he saw the Devi pervading the three worlds with her luster, making the earth bend with her footsteps, scraping the sky with her diadem, shaking the nether worlds with the twang of her bowstring, and standing there pervading all the quarters around with her 1,000 arms. Then began a battle between that Devi and the enemies of the Devas, in which the quarters of the sky were illumined by the weapons and arms hurled diversely. Mahishasura's general, a great asura named Chiksura and Chamara, attended by forces comprising 4 parts, and other asuras fought. A great asura named Udagra, with 60,000 chariots, and Mahahanu, with 10 millions of chariots, gave battle. Asiluman, another great asura, with 15 millions of chariots, and Bishkala, with 6 millions, fought in that battle. Parivareta, with many thousands of elephants and horses, and surrounded by 10 millions of chariots, fought in that battle. An asura named Bidala fought in that battle, surrounded with 500 Kurus of chariots. And other great asuras, thousands in number, surrounded with chariots of elephants and horses, fought with the Devi in that battle. With the thousands of Kurus of horses, elephants, and chariots, other asuras fought in the battle against the Devi with iron maces and javelins, with spears and clubs, with swords, axes, and halberds. Some hurled spears and others nooses. They began to strike her with swords in order to kill her. Showering her own weapons and arms, that Devi Chandika very easily cut into pieces all those weapons and arms. Without any strain on her face, and with gods and sages extolling her, the Ishvari threw her weapons and arms at the bodies of the asuras. And the lion also, which carried the Devi, shaking its mane in rage, stalked among the hosts of the asuras like a conflagration amidst the forests. The sires which Ambika engaged in the battle heaved became at once her battalions by hundreds and thousands. Energized by the power of the Devi, these battalions fought with axes, javelins, swords, halberds, and destroyed the asuras. Of these battalions, some beat drums, some blew conches, and others played on tabors in that great martial festival. Then the Devi killed hundreds of asuras with her trident, club, showers of spears, swords, and the like, and threw down others who were stupefied by the noise of her bell. And binding others with her noose, she dragged them on the ground. Some were split in two by the sharp slashes of her sword, and others, smashed by the blows of her mace, lay down on the ground, and some, severely hammered by her club, vomited forth blood. Pierced in the breast by her trident, some fell on the ground. Pierced all over by her arrows, and resembling porcupines, some of the enemies of the Devas gave up their lives on that field of battle. Some had their arms cut off, some their necks broken, and heads of others rolled down. Some others were torn asunder in the middle of their trunks, and some great asuras fell on the ground with their legs severed. Some rendered one-armed, one-eyed, and one-legged were again cloven twain by the Devi, and others, though rendered headless, fell and rose again. Headless trunks fought with the Devi with best weapon in their hands. Some of these headless trunks danced there in the battle in the rhythm of the musical instruments. The trunks of some other great asuras, with their swords, spears, and lances still in their hands, shouted at the Devi with their just severed heads, "Stop, stop!" That part of earth where the battle was fought became impassable with asuras, elephants, and horses, and chariots that had been felled. The profuse blood from the asuras, elephants, and horses flowed immediately like large rivers amidst that army of asuras. As fire consumes a huge heap of straw and wood, so did Ambika destroy that vast army of asuras in no time. And her carrier lion, thundering aloud with quivering mane, prowled about in the battlefield, appearing to search out the vital breaths from the bodies of the enemies of the Devas. In that battlefield, the battalions of the Devi fought in such a manner with the asuras that the Devas in heaven, showering flowers, extolled them. Here ends the second chapter, called Slaughter of the Armies of Mahishasura, of Devi Mahatmyam, of Markandeya Purana during the period of Sarvani Manu. The Rishi said, Then Chiksura, the great asura, general, seeing that army being slain by the Devi, advanced in anger to fight with Ambika. That asura rained showers of arrows on the Devi in the battle, even as a cloud showers rain on the summit of Mount Meru. Then the Devi, easily cutting under the son of the masses of his arrows, killed his horses and their controller with her arrows. Forthwith she split his bow and lofty banner, and with her arrows pierced the body of that Asura, whose bow